Hi, I'm Mary Matz, creator of Twisted Yarns. In this video, you will learn to crochet the outer border and complete the pansy blanket with a two-color braided edging. The puffiness of the pansy blanket makes it so comfortable and snuggly, but it also presents the challenge of wavy edges. Visually, edges simply look better straight. So, there are a few ways to minimize the undulations and professionally finish the border. Plan a wide border. Aim for it to be at least 5 rows deep, that's about 2.5 to 3 inches, before starting the final row of edging. The extra rows give you wiggle room to straighten the edge gradually, but also stabilizes the shape of the blanket. When you plan your afghan, you really kind of want to have the corners all come out the same. But in our sample, we're using it 2 different ways because I want to show you in case you have a corner like so, or a corner like a joined corner. For a joined corner, mark the space between the motifs formed by the join. Marking them before you start gives you a visual trigger as you work the first row. When adjusting for waviness, the first row of the border is critical. Identify which edge is the straightest. That's where we will begin the border. In this case, the first and last rows are good candidates. It's the side edges that have significant dips and bulges. Using the same color as the inner border, slip stitch into any stitch along a straight edge. We chained 3, and now we're going to drop our second end and chain 1 more, because that's our space. The first 3 count as a double crochet. Then we're going to simply work a double crochet, chain 1 in each of the spaces until we get to a corner space of a motif, which is coming right up. Now this is the corner of this motif. So, see how big it is? We're going to place 2, which is a double crochet, chain 1, and another double crochet, chain 1 in that exact space. Then, in the stitch where they are pulled together, we're going to work another double crochet and a chain 1, of course. And then in the next space that we come across, it's the corner space of this motif. So we are going to work a double crochet, chain 1, a double crochet, chain 1 again in that same space because it's a big space, and then we're going to continue across the side of the motif working a double crochet, chain 1 in each of the spaces until we get to the next corner space of a motif, and that happens to be our marked corner. That's the marked corner, and we're going to remove the marker because we won't need it anymore. And we are going to work a double crochet, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and another double crochet right into that corner. Now, and chain 1, of course. So we have just turned that corner. You have now transitioned to the wavy side. See how this dips a little bit here? Well, we're going to continue to work a double crochet. Just like before, we've done our chain 1 since we turned our corner. We're going to work 1 double crochet, chain 1, and another double crochet into that corner space of the motif. And then it's about this point where we start seeing the rise. So we're keeping our stitches longer here, taller. We're going to chain 1 and go into the next space and do a double crochet, chain 1 in that space. But now, in the very next space, we're going to transition. We're going to do a half double crochet, chain 1 into that space. A half double crochet is just a hair shorter than the double crochet. And then into the next space, we're going to work a single crochet, chain 1. And do you see how this straightens out? So we have now filled in this little gap over here. Can you see that? We filled in with taller stitches in this gap. Now we're going to use shorter stitches like the single crochet to work across the side where it's bowed out. So I'm just getting to the corner now. Now I've just done single crochets and chain ones all along here. Now in this place, we normally in a corner space we would put 2 double crochets, but that will actually accentuate what we're doing. So what we're going to do is something really sneaky. We're going to do a decrease. We're going to insert our hook into the space, pull up a loop. Then we're going to insert our hook into the junction between the 2 motifs, pull up a loop. And then I'm going to go to this space and pull up a loop. So I have 4 loops on hook. And I'm pulling through all 4 loops on the hook. And I'm chaining my 1. Now, can you see how that has reformed that shape of that edge? And so now I'm going to jump over to the next space. I'm not going to put anything more into this space because I still want that to be minimized. And I'm going to work a single crochet and a chain 1. Let's just look at the next motif. And I'll use my marker. It's at this point where the dip starts and comes up again about to here. So I'm just marking that one for now. And I'm going to just continue along this edge working a single crochet chain 1 in each ones until I get to that marked stitch. All right. I've just done my single crochet chain 1s. Now, just to look, doesn't that look a lot evener than when we started before? It's much straighter. Much, much straighter. Okay, so now we're starting where the undulation starts again, where we're getting a dip. And what we do to fill the dips is we start building or working taller stitches. So the next space I'm going to yarn over, insert my hook as if I'm going to do a double crochet, but I'm going to do a half double crochet and a chain 1. And in the next space I'm going to work a double crochet, chain 1. In the next space a double crochet, chain 1. And then in the space at the tip of this, I'm going to put 2 double crochets, well, with chain 1s in between. Here's the corner space of this motif. So in this case, we're going to work another double crochet, chain 1, in the space in the junction between the 2 motifs. Because this is 4 of them, we're going to do a treble. A treble is worked by yarning over twice, inserting our hook and pulling up a loop, pulling through 2, pulling through 2, and pulling through 2. And a chain 1, of course. Everything gets a chain 1 in between. Then we're going to go to the point or the corner of this motif right here, and we are going to work another double crochet, chain 1, and then into the point of this corner of this pointed triangle and do a double crochet, chain 1, and just like we did over here, we're going to do a second one in it because that one's on the edge. A double crochet, chain 1. Now, if you can see, that is really getting straightened out nicely. Let's go on. And here you can see where here's my point is. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to count your stitches. So I'm going to work a double crochet in the next one, chain one. Then I think I'm going to work a half double crochet in this one, chain one, and I can work another half double crochet in the next one. It gives a little easier transition. And there we have it. And by the time I got to the one that was marked, I'm ready to do single crochet, chain one, single crochet, chain one, all the way to the next part. We just reached this corner, and I want to show you. This, as I said, this is the corner where it's just the corner of the motif. I'm going to work chain three, and then I'm going to work a single crochet into that space, chain one, and a single crochet, chain one. Now, that turned that corner quite nicely. And I'm going to just continue down this side now, working a single crochet in each of the spaces along this side to my next marker where I'm marking the beginning of a dip. So now we're at this last corner, and this is just the opposite of what we did on this side, where we're going to work single crochets first and then transition to a double crochet. We're just going to work the double crochets across this flat edge because this just finishes up. And so I'll meet you for row two. We are ready to start row two. And just as before, I marked my corner spaces so that there would be no issue in finding those corners. I just want to look at what we have. On our straight edges, they came out really, really nice. Nice and straight. We still have a little bit of a dip along this edge, but I think that's going to straighten itself out after a few more rows. Now on the side edges where we had huge dips, look what we have. It is really pretty darn straight, except for in this little middle part where the 2 points come together. So I'm going to just mark this section here, and there we go. And then on the opposite side, I'm going to take some extra markers, and I'm going to just remind myself to look at this when I get there. So I'm ready to begin row two. When I ended row one, I slip stitched into the top of that chain three at the beginning to continue. Now I'm going to just slip stitch over into the next space. That just repositions my hook, and I'll weave this end in before I get back to this point. And I'm going to chain three. 1, 2, and 3. Chain one more, which is the space. Since the 3 represent the double crochet, I still need a space. And I'm just going to work a double crochet, chain one, in each of these spaces until I get to the corner. Now, as you're doing row two, when you get to the corners, if your corner is tipping a little bit, one of the little secrets that I use is about every other row, you want to work your corner a little bit differently. And in this row here, we worked 1 double crochet, chain 3, and 1 double crochet. But on this row, we're going to work 1 double crochet, chain 1, work a second double crochet, chain 3, then another double crochet, chain 1, and 1 more double crochet, so that you have 2 double crochets on each side of the corner. And what that does is it helps to straighten it out if you're getting a weird kind of angle at the corner. This helps square it off. And then just continue on down with the double crochet chain ones in each of the spaces. So when you get to the point where you still have a little dip on the sides, what I would do is I would work down with the double crochets until you get closer, double crochet chain ones, until you get closer to the center. So this is the center stitch that's right into the join. So I'm going to finish this double crochet, chain one, and then I'm going to do a treble crochet into the next one, but I'm not going to complete it. I'm just going to pull through two twice, leaving one loop left on the hook, then doing another treble into the space right before that centered. And there we have just done a treble decrease. Now I'm going to chain one, and I'm going to repeat that on the other side of that central stitch, of that center stitch. So holding that back and then going into the next space. What that's going to do is it's just going to fill in, chain one, it's going to fill in that dip. So let's just do a couple more stitches of double crochet chain ones. Okay, now look how nice and even that edge is becoming. Just wanted to point out a little bit about this. You know when you have enough rows is because everything is evened out. Look how nicely this one had a severe dip and it's nice and even. Same on this side here. I also want to say how nice this particular corner turned out, and this is where I did that little trick. On the second row I put 2 double crochets on each side of the blanket. On the third row I put 1. On the fourth row I put 2 again. And on the fifth row I completed with 1 on each side. So now we are going to start the edging. We're going to insert our hook and pull up a loop. And with a double strand I'm going to chain 1. That's going to count as a single crochet. I'm going to hold off the little end, so I'm only using 1 strand now, and I'm going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now I'm going to pull that loop big, and I'm going to let it sit, just sit there. And I'm going to take my second color. Now I folded this to the front so you can get started on this, and I'm going to the back, and I'm going into the very next space with the other color. And I'm going to do the same thing and attach the yarn with a double chain 1, and then I'm going to drop off that end, and I'm going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pull that loop up. Return to this first one, pull this one forward, and skip the space where this colored, the second color is, and go to the third space. But I got to make sure that my yarn is in back also. Okay, so now in the third space I'm going to single crochet and chain 4 more. 1, 2, 3, 4. Bring this forward and and then bring this, pick up the other color, go behind this one and skip that space where this color is and single crochet into the next space, and then chain 4 more. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to bring this one forward just as before, and I'm going to work this single crochet into that stitch, into that space rather, into the corner space. Then I'm going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just as before, I'm going to bring this forward, pick up my other color, and I'm going to single crochet in the very same space. Then chain 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, I still have some room in that corner, and I want the corner to be a sharp corner. So I'm going to hold it forward one more time, pick up my other color, go behind it, and in the very same corner space again, work another single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 3, and 4. All right, now I'm going to bring this forward again, take it off my hook, and pick up my light green. And I think that's enough for that corner. So I'm going to proceed on to the next space when I feel like it's full enough. 1, 2, 3, 4. So give it a really nice little turn, and then you just go down the other side in the same way, exchanging these two. So how you end it off, when you come around, and this one worked out perfectly, you slip stitch into the very first stitch and cut that yarn and pull it through. Then you return to your second color, slip it back on your hook, and what you want to do is you want to make sure that you twist this over and slip stitch, kind of poke it through so that you slip stitch into the top of that first single crochet in this color. But you've got to make sure that you come around so there's still it's still a twisted edge. So I'm going to trim this yarn now, and I'm going to pull that end through. Now all that remains is that you need to weave in these last few ends. I hope you enjoyed watching the Pansy Blanket series. Please take a moment to subscribe and ring the bell to receive notifications of upcoming videos. Happy crocheting!